Would you say that this idea that there are contradictions, that there are these types of problem passages that exist, is this a minority position among biblical scholars? Is this sort of a fringe thing that people think that, Genesis 37 is problematic, or would you say this is the consensus view among biblical scholars?
This is decidedly the consensus view. And again, it's not, there are a bunch of different theories about how the Pentateuch came together, but they all involve multiple hands, right? I think that outside of, effectively, outside of, I think, apologetic minded institutions, there's really no, that's not even a discussion question, really, whether it is a single author or whether it's Moses or not. We're well past that. And again, we've been past that in like for 1,000 years in some senses. But certainly, since the Enlightenment, it's effectively been recognized. But yeah, certainly today in the academy, the multiple authorship, however that then conceived, and again, and for the most part, responding still to the same problems, right? So even if I and another scholar don't agree on how the Torah came together, but the problems we're seeing in the Pentateuch, right, are usually relatively similar, right? Everybody recognizes that, there are two laws about what to do with the Passover sacrifice. Everybody recognizes, if Genesis 37 is like a little bit obscure, I'm not sure it is, but like everybody recognizes the Genesis 1 and 2, just to pick a really like important one that people fight over. Like the people out in the world are going to know, right? I don't know of anybody in the field who says, oh no, that's one hand is responsible for Genesis 1 and 2. Again, this is one of the things that I occasionally say is, right, like, if you ask anybody, just tell me the story of creation from like the beginning of creation, from in the beginning until like the Eve eats the apple, right? Like you say, just tell me that story, and everybody can do it. Everybody goes, oh, that's easy, right? So in the beginning, there's nothing, and then there's like God makes stuff 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he rests on the seventh day, and like he's got like he creates everything, all the things, and then he rests on the seventh day, and then they're in the garden, and then they're in garden, and then God makes woman from Adam's rib, and like he names all the animals, and like none of that tracks, right? There's like a big thing, and there's like a big leap in the middle that everybody just takes because we're used to the stories being told in that order. But they don't go together, right? Things are created at different times in different orders. Like it's very, when is woman created? In Genesis 1, she's created simultaneously with man, right? And probably not just two of them, but probably many of them, right? And in Genesis 2, right, we all know, right, Adam's wandering around by himself, and he gets lonely, and there's animals, and he takes a nap, and then he wakes up, and there's a lady there, right? Like that's a very, very different, it's a totally different order of events. Yeah, you can do that with a whole bunch of stories, right? The flood story does that equally, right? You can ask anybody to tell you the story of the flood, and everybody will tell you the same story, right? Absolutely the same story, right? Noah took 2 of every animal, male and female. He took them to the ark to keep them alive, and then it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and the ark landed on a mountain, and Moses sent out a dove, and it went like this and this, and finally it brought him like a piece of like a twig, and Moses came out, and there was a rainbow. The end. That's the universal flood story, and it is like not at all what's in the Bible, not at all what's in the Bible, but like we just like ignore all the little things that make that the flood story particularly kind of unreadable.